Do you ever feel like you're ready for change, but also completely paralyzed by it? Like part of you is saying, let's go, let's do this. While another part of you is whispering, but what if this ruins everything? Yeah, I've been there too. I have been there. Change can be beautiful, but boy, it can also be terrifying. Which is why the question we're tackling today on the Confident Christian Woman podcast is, why does change feel so scary even when I know I need it? But before we dive in, I have a gift for you that goes hand in hand with what we talk about on this podcast. It's called the Clarity Roadmap, and it's only a couple of pages long, so it's easy for you to digest it. This roadmap is going to help you to reflect, to pray, and to take action as you listen along to the podcast. So grab it at the link in the show notes. All right, so today we are exploring why change triggers so much fear in us, even when we know it's necessary. And more importantly, we're going to talk about how to move forward with God's peace and not just your own willpower, because willpower will fail you every time. So here is where you're at. You know that something needs to change, and you have felt it for a while now. You've outgrown the old thing. You have gotten restless and unsettled, and maybe you're even a little bit bitter in this space where you're at that you used to love or you used to feel fine in. And maybe you're not even sure yet what the new thing is, but what you have now, you know it's not it. This is not it. And even so, you still stay where you're at. You do the routine, you hold on to what's familiar, and you say things like, I just need to pray about it some more, or maybe no is not the right time. But deep down, the thing that's really going on, and you know it, is that you're afraid of the change. And it is not a dramatic, runaway, screaming kind of fear. It's quieter than that. It will show up as hesitation. It can show up as busyness. It can show up as needing just one more confirmation from God before you take the step that He has already shown you in 5 different ways. You feel torn because you know this change is necessary, but you also hate how unsteady even thinking about it makes everything feel. Because change doesn't only shift your circumstances, change touches your identity. It pokes at your need for control, and it threatens the systems that you have built to feel safe. And what you're really asking underneath your surface resistance to change is, can I trust God if I don't know how this ends? Can I obey without proof that all of this will be worth it? Can I surrender my comfort to step into my calling? Because to be honest, your comfort zone may not be thriving, but at least it's familiar, right? You know how to navigate this version of your life. You know how to carry this version of yourself, and you've learned how to survive here. So the unknown doesn't only feel risky, it feels like absolute death to your sense of control. But here is something further that you might not have realized yet. The fear that you're feeling, the fear of change that you are feeling, isn't always about the change itself. Often it is about the story that you are telling yourself about what it means to leave the familiar. Because leaving something, even something that you have outgrown, it can stir up more than logistics. As I said, it stirs up identity, it stirs up your sense of safety, it stirs up your sense of status. And definitely it stirs up your feelings of control. You You may not be afraid of the thing, the new thing that God is calling you to, but you might be afraid of what walking away from the old thing will say about you. And I'm talking about things like thoughts like, if I leave this, people will think I'm flaky or I'm ungrateful. I've had those thoughts when I was, like mired in misery in the swamp of a life that I had created for myself that looked amazing. It looked great on the surface, but it was really not the life that I was supposed to be living. When I thought about changing it, I felt very afraid, uncomfortable to say the least, and just like outright terror, to be truthful, because I was thinking people will think I'm a fool if I leave this, if I change this, right? You may be having similar thoughts. You may be thinking, if I let this go, it will mean that everything that I've done up to now was a waste. Or you may be thinking, if I step away from it, I will lose my place, my rhythm, and my security. And you may be thinking, what if I walk away from what's familiar and I'm just not strong enough to handle whatever it is that comes next? In all of the thoughts that I just gave you, did you hear that it is not the fact of the change that paralyzes you? It is the meaning that you have attached to what letting go of the old thing represents. Sometimes we stay in places that God is calling us out of, not because we love the place, but because they make sense to us, because they're familiar, and because they help us to make sense of ourselves. But what if God wants you to rewrite that story that you're telling? What if leaving it is not loss, but trust? What if letting go of it is not failure, but it's faithfulness? What if you are not walking away from something? What if you're walking toward something? The shift in the story that you're telling about change, it actually changes everything, right? So before you say, I'm just not ready for this change, I want you to pause and ask yourself, what story am I telling myself about what this change says about me? And then go further and ask if the story is true or if it's simply familiar. Because God never asks you to leave something unless He's leading you to something that is worth the release of what you have to let go, right? In Joshua 1 verse 9, God says, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." A lot of us Christians like to quote this and take it like a motivational quote, but it is not a motivational quote, right? Or not only. It doesn't only have to serve to motivate you. It gives you truth because it was spoken to someone who was standing at the edge of a major transition. And in that circumstance, God did not remove the unknown. What He did was to promise to go with them into it. And that promise that God made to Joshua and to the nation of Israel, that promise still holds for you now. So what if the next thing, what if the old thing, the thing that you're scared of, releasing, is the very thing that is keeping you from what God wants to give you next? Because, as I've said, most of us want safe change. We want predictable growth, and we want transformation that comes with a money back guarantee. We want change that feels comfortable, right? But unfortunately, obedience does not work that way. Obedience is often not comfortable, and it is very rarely about certainty, but it is always about surrender, and it's about trusting that even if it costs you something now to let go of, it will lead you to something better. So I want you to sit with this question, like really sink into it, sit with it and feel it. If nothing changes in your life, if you stay exactly where you are for another year or another 5 years, how do you feel about that? Does your heart sink a little bit when you picture it? Does it sting? Do you feel kind of an ache knowing that you were made for more, but you let fear keep you stuck and small? You need to know that you are not crazy for feeling scared of change. It's normal. And you are not weak for wanting stability. That is also normal. But staying where you are now, staying stuck, is costing you more than you think. And on the other side of releasing what it is that you're clinging to, the old thing that you're clinging to, you, on the other side of releasing it, you will find freedom, you'll find alignment with God, and you will find peace. So yes, change might feel scary, but staying stuck in a place that God is calling you out of, I promise you, it will turn out to be even scarier than that. So let's talk about some practical steps that you can take that will help to make change feel a little bit less overwhelming for you, right? So the first thing I want you to do is to name the fear, call it out, write it down. What is the actual what if underneath your hesitation? Or maybe there are multiples of them, right? What if I fail? What if people think that I'm stupid or ungrateful or flaky? What if I let this go and go into this new thing and it turns out that I've wasted my time? What if I lose my sense of security? What if I'm not strong enough to navigate what it is that comes with saying yes to this new thing? Like, call out all of the hesitations, because you cannot conquer or go around, bypass a fear unless you understand or acknowledge what it is that you fear. Once you have done that, then move on to naming the truth. Like, you've called out the fear, now you need to call out the truth. What do you know to be true about God's character? And what do you know to be true about your resilience? Call those things out. Like, name them. And then ask yourself, what is one brave step? One brave step that I can take today. Not the whole journey, not a whole map, but what is just your one step? Just one next step that you can do, right? That you can take today. As you are reflecting, I want you to journal on this prompt and just see where it leads you. What am I afraid might happen if I embrace this change, and what might I be missing if I don't embrace this change? So that is you reflecting on what you are afraid this change is going to cost you, and what it might cost you if you don't embrace this change. All right, you need to know both of those. So as we bring this in for a landing, as we wrap up, please remember that you do not have to bulldoze your way through fear to prove anything, and you also do not have to let fear paralyze you. You can feel scared and still say yes, because God does not need you to be fearless. He just wants you to be faithful. All right. So if today's episode stirred something in you, whether it is hope or clarity or even just a little nudge from God, don't forget to download the Clarity Roadmap. It's a free guide that's designed to give you a quick jumpstart out of feeling stuck. You can print it, you can pray through it, or you can use it as a journaling companion. And remember, you do not have to have all the answers. You only need your one next step, and this roadmap, this free roadmap, is a great place to start. To get it, all you need to do is head to the link in the show notes.